Hello, thank you for watching my channel today. My name's Sarah and my channel is called Your Tree Shelf. It's been a while since I've recorded a video, for which I apologise. Life's been a lot's going on at the moment in life, and also when I sat down to record a few days ago, my microphone wasn't working, had to organise a new microphone, so that's part of the issue as well. But I'm here. I have a few different ideas for different videos coming up, but I thought because it's been like nearly 3 weeks since I've recorded a video, I'm going to just do a Friday read style video today, catch up on what I've been reading and everything and what my plans are, and then probably the next video that I do, hopefully next week, will be something different. So I'm going to start as usual by telling you what I've read, what I've finished since my last video. Then I'm going to talk about what I'm reading, any hauls, and then reading plans as usual format. So we'll also be doing the HRCYED board update as we go. So the hardest reading challenge you'll ever do, which is a challenge devised by Cordy. I'll link the information to that down below. But lots of people are doing HRCYED now. It's a brilliant challenge, and I will be updating my graphics as we go. So without further ado, the first book that I finished since I last spoke to you is this book called Marking Time by Elizabeth Jane Howard. So this is the second book in the Cazalet Chronicles. There's 5 books in total. I was buddy reading this with Aaron and Joe, but now just with Aaron because Joe decided she just wanted to read the first book, and that was that. So this is a series following a family. It starts off in book 1 in the interwar years, and at the end of book 1, World War II is just starting. So for this book, this is set in 1941 and 1942. The family consists of 2 parents who are sort of, I guess, in their probably 60s, and they have 3 sons, Edward, Rupert and Hugh, and they run a family business which is in wood, and they're all married with children, and we follow a very big cast of characters. So it's the children, the boy, the 3 sons, and the parents. We see mainly from the sons and their wives and the children, but it's a very big family. There is a list of all the characters at the beginning, so by book 2 I didn't really need to refer to that, but in book 1 you do need to refer to it at the start to figure out whose children are whose and that kind of thing. But it's an intergenerational family saga, basically. Obviously I can't really go through any plot points that happen, but it's set in England. It's just the kind of the day-to-day lives of these people and how they interact with each other. And in book 1 we get like a bird's eye view of all the characters. In this book we start hearing from individual characters. So we hear from 3 of their female grandchildren who are teenagers, and we hear from their perspectives as well as some chapters about the whole family. So I found this one to be more enjoyable than the first. I did enjoy the first, but I think this one, because I'm sort of into the family and their characters and everything now, I could kind of get into it in a bit more depth. So this is quite a chunker. This is let me see, this is just under 600 pages, this book. I think this is nearly maybe the biggest or the second biggest of the series. So for my HRCYED boards, this is going to be used as for the series. So one of the prompts is to read a series with at least 4 books. So I chose this as my series. This is obviously going to be the second of those because this is book 2 of the series. The only other category I could get it to fit for was the alphabet challenge, the A to Z challenge. And I am going to use it for M for marking time, because you're allowed to use it for the first letter of the title. So this is going to be my M square for marking time. The next book that I finished was a library book, which I have returned now. That was part of the Paper and Heart Society series by Lucy Powrie, who's also a booktuber. And this book was called Bookishly Ever After. So this is a YA series. It's a bookish series, and it's very enjoyable. I would say if you like Heartstopper, it's quite similar in feels to Heartstopper. So it's basically about 5 friends who are 6th form age. So Tabby is the main focus of book 1. She has moved to live with her grandmother, and she's in a new area. She wants to make friends, and she gets invited to a brand new book club called the Paper and Heart Society, which is 3 girls and 2 boys, and they basically become really best friends, and the bond through their love of books and their bookish meetings and bookish outings and stuff like that. And book 2 has another protagonist from the group as the main focus, and book 3 has Ed as the main focus. He is a guy in the 6th form. He's living with his mum, and he gets a job at the local bookshop, and he really likes a girl who's working there. She's neurodiverse, and Lucy, who wrote the book, is autistic, and so a lot of her experiences, I think, have been put into book form and writing about this character who has autism. And so yeah, it was a really heartwarming, lovely read. I always find them just, yeah, the kind of, all I can say is the kind of vibes you get for when you watch Heartstopper or read Heartstopper. That's the kind of feelings you get with this series. So if you like that, I would suggest this series. And I would say for this one, I'm going to use it for the Reading the Rainbow. So this is a very orange book with a bright orange cover. So I'm going to use it for orange in the Reading the Rainbow. And that takes me up to 4 out of 10 for that prompt. And I'm also going to use it for the swear that I haven't started yet, for protagonist whose names you know in real life. So our protagonist for this book is called Ed. I have several people I know called Ed, and so I'm going to use that as the name, which gives me 1 out of 3 for that square. The next book I finished, finally, was The Anthropocene, reviewed by John Green. I started reading this when I was on holiday in August, and I've only just finished it. So it's an essay collection. He basically writes about different aspects of the human experience. And so, for instance, he might write about a particular song or a film or like a place that he's visited, an object, things like that. So he'll write something about that place or song or whatever. He'll write a little kind of anecdote about how it's relevant to his life, and then he'll give it a rating out of 5 stars, because he said that we're obsessed with rating everything out of 5 stars nowadays. And so he's taking common things, he's talking about them, and he's giving them a rating out of 5 stars. I first of all, I think I'm not a huge fan of essay collections. It's the same as with short stories, really. I like things that are a flow for the whole book rather than individual items. I didn't feel like I could sit down and read it all in one go, because after I'd read a couple of essays, I was like, okay, I'm ready to read something else now. His writing I enjoy, his humour I enjoy, but I didn't feel ever compelled to pick this up, and I found some essays more enjoyable than others. This has a really good rating online itself, and so I think it's me rather than him. But I just didn't really find that this was my cup of tea particularly. So I think I gave this one 3.25 stars. However, I can use it for HRCYED. So I'm going to use it for the non-fiction challenge. This is to read 5 different subgenres of non-fiction. This is my 3rd. And I'm going to use it as an essay collection, being the subgenre. And then I'm also going to use it for the By the Hundreds challenge, where you have to read books in each of the multiples of hundreds of pages, between 100 and 700. So this is in the 300s, so I'm going to use it for my 300 square. And this one also takes me to, I'm not actually sure, I have written down 4 out of 10, but I don't think there's 10. There's not 10 options, so I don't know what I was talking about then. Yeah, I will display it on the screen so you can see how many of those I've actually done. I think it's like 3 out of 7 or something like that, but we'll have a look. We'll see on the screen. The final book that I finished since I last spoke to you was another non-fiction, which was a self-help book, which I absolutely adored and I found so helpful, and it is called The World is Waiting for You by Edwina Findley Dickerson. So this book I came across because I love Oprah. Anyone who knows my channel knows I absolutely love Oprah, and I was just looking at her YouTube channel, and I saw Edwina was a guest on there and she was talking about a book, so I just clicked on the video, and they had a few clips, a few minutes long each from the interview, and as soon as I was listening to her talking about this book, I was intrigued. So I then looked when it was out, and I was like, oh, it's out in September last month, and I needed a new release for September as well. So I thought, I could use this as my September new release book. So I downloaded the audio. I would actually like to have a physical copy of the book because I want to be able to refer back to it and annotate it and stuff. This book is faith-based. So I would say that if you aren't interested in books which are faith-based, then I wouldn't suggest this book for you. I think if you believe in a higher power, whatever you refer to that as, you would maybe be interested in this book. If you're interested in things like manifestation and law of attraction and those kind of things, then I would recommend this book. But basically, Edwina talks about what she calls the God dream, and so she's basically saying that encouraging us to fulfill our dreams and our passions and not give up on our dreams, because a lot of the time we really are passionate about one thing. Like, say for instance, you're really passionate about music and you've always just aspired to be a musician, that's what you really want to do, but we tend to talk ourselves out of things and say, well, I can't really do that because how am I going to achieve that, and the money wouldn't be steady, and am I actually good enough? And people kind of just talk themselves out of everything that they really want to do. And one of the things that she said, which I found so sad, was she was like, if you go to a graveyard, it's not just people buried there, it's all the dreams that died with them. And I was just like, oh God, that was just really kind of touched me, that what she said. And so she talks about how if the universe or God or whatever you want to refer to that higher being as gives you this like vision and passion and skills for what your God dream is, that we should try and fulfill that, and that the universe will conspire to help us. And I know that's not going to be everyone's cup of tea, but for me, I found it enormously helpful. And she also talks about having a vision book. So having a book where she gave loads of kind of questions that you should think on and journal around, but also she has a book where she'll use visually images which she'll think about, like the kind of house she wants to live in, the kind of things that inspire her, whether it's like, I don't know, books, recipes, clothing, songs, whatever, and she'll visually put them all in this book. And because it helps you not only from reminding you of stuff, but it helps you focus, it helps you sort of figure out what you want to do, where you want to go, what your goals are. And she's also about how to set smart goals, how to achieve goals as well. And I think even if you take out the faith-based thing, which is a massive part of the book, then you would still find it valuable for the planning, because I think a lot of the time we might think, well, I want to do this, but you don't know how you're going to get there. You haven't really thought through what the steps are. And so it's helpful from that point of view as well, help you to visualize what you're actually trying to do, what you really want, what your passion is. So I found it tremendously helpful. Like I said, this was 100% a 5-star read for me. And I definitely want to get a copy of the book so that I can refer back to it, because that's the only downside of audio, is when you want to like remember stuff, you're like, you can't look back at it or highlight it or tab it the same way as you can with a book. So for that one, I'm going to use it for my non-fiction category again. So the subgenre being self-help, which is 4 out of 5 for that square. So that square is nearly complete now. And I'm also going to use it for my new release square for September. So I've completed 3 out of 12 for my new releases. So that's everything that I have read so far. Now I'll tell you what I'm currently reading. So I'm reading my August new release at the moment, which needs to be completed by the 26th. And what is the date today? Today is the 23rd. So I've got 4 days to finish this book to make sure I complete it by the new release deadline. And this is just the dust jacket. This is Boudicca's Daughter by Elodie Harper. So Elodie Harper wrote the Wolf Den trilogy, which I absolutely loved. Absolutely loved it. Brilliant trilogy. Set in Pompeii. Loved. This one was a automatic buy for me. Well, my friend kindly bought it for me for my birthday, but this was an automatic. I would have bought this for myself because Elodie, Harper, love. Boudicca, anyone who's watched my channel over the last year knows that I read the Boudicca series by Amanda Scott, which is the best series I've ever read. And so I'm like, Boudicca and Elodie Harper together, amazing. I'm going to buy this book. So far, I am a third of the way through this book and it is not living up to my expectations. And I'm sad to say that, but I think that it might have done had I not read Amanda Scott's Quartet about Boudicca, because in that book, in that series, we spent 3,000 pages ish with those characters, and the world and the characters were so fully developed, and we knew everything about them. We watched them every day. We saw all of their ceremonies, all of their battles. We got to know them so intimately. And now, obviously, this is a standalone, so there's a lot less that we can achieve with the standalone than there is with the quartet. I appreciate that. But the detail for me is really lacking, and the battles aren't described at all so far. Maybe they will, but the kind of Roman rebellion, or the Icenian rebellion against the Romans, it's over and done in a few pages. And in Amanda Scott's book, that was pretty much like a whole book. So I'm finding it really difficult. Obviously, the characters have all got different names, which I'm just having to accept. Like in Amanda Scott's book, Boudicca's name is Breaker. In this, she's Katia. So there's different, and their personalities aren't the same. But that's okay. I can live that. That's not any reflection of the book. But so far, this is just not living up to my expectations. And like I say, if I hadn't read the Amanda Scott Quartet first, maybe it would. So again, we'll see, because I haven't finished it and I've still got 2/3 to go, and it might be that the next time I come on and tell you about when I finished it, I might say I absolutely loved it. But it's the main focus is on her daughters. So there's Selena is the daughter we're really focusing on, and she's the Boudicca's oldest daughter. And yeah, I don't feel like I know her very well yet, so we'll see. But that's what I'm reading for my August new release. I'm also still reading, well, I've started, I'm not sure if I'd started it last time, I've started Rewitched by Lucy Jane Wood. So I was in the mood for some sort of cozy fantasy. I mean, it's very kind of, it's fantasy / magical realism, I would say. And this is about a witch who, she's just turning 30. You get your magical powers, your witch powers, when you're 15. And then when you become 30, you have to have like a ceremony with your coven who says, yes, you've done enough to warrant keeping your magical powers. You haven't misused them or anything like that. And then you get them permanently. And so she's just having her 30th birthday. She hasn't really been that into the witchy stuff. And so she never really took it that seriously. So they're like, well, we don't really think that you should have these powers permanently. So she's got to try and earn her stripes, really. She's got to try and prove that she can do it. She's got to have a mentor to try and help her. It's the other theme I really like underlying this book as well is that she works in a bookshop and she's been given the opportunity to become the owner of the bookshop, but she doesn't have the confidence to do it. She can do it, but she doesn't believe in herself enough. And I really like that as an underlying theme. I'm guessing by the end of the book, she'll have gained the confidence and she'll buy it. That's what I'm guessing will happen. But as a woman who, I am older than her, but I do find that as I've aged, my confidence has decreased, and I really am enjoying that as a theme of the book, because I sort of feel like the author is maybe putting some of herself into the book with that, just because I can feel how genuine it feels, but I don't know. Lucy's also got a YouTube channel, Lucy Jane Wood, and it's really delightful, so I'd encourage you to recommend to go and check that out as well. But I'm really enjoying Rewitched. And then the third book, which I'm nearly finished, is Hester by Margaret Oliphant. That is the group read for Victober, and that's why I'm reading it. So it's a 20-hour audiobook. It's done in 3 parts, and I listened to a different audiobook in between at the end of the 2 parts that I finished, because I just fancied a change. I've got about 2 hours left, so I'm 90% of the way through Hester. Hester is very good. It's basically about a bank. So there's the Vernon family have had this bank, and the guy who is the manager of the bank, he basically is completely mismanaging the money and not doing a good job at protecting the bank's funds, and the bank is going bankrupt. And he does a flit. He moves. He runs away. He just leaves. He leaves his wife and his daughter Hester, and his relative, I think it's his cousin, has got the money to put her own to put into the bank and rescue it. So she does that, and she then becomes kind of the manager, but she has other women don't really manage banks in the Victorian times, so she has she's very good at knowing what's going on in the business, but she has men of the family who sort of run the day-to-day banking for her. And she, because of her money, she's generous to members of her family which don't have as much money. So she actually lets the guy who ran away, his wife, and Hester, the daughter, she actually lets them come and live in part of her property. So they become back into the story. And Catherine, who's the person who sort of bought out the bank, she doesn't really get on with Hester. And it's about sort of their relationship, but also Hester's relationship with some of the men who live locally, and Hester's relationship with her mother. And yeah, it's a good story. It's kind of coming up to the sort of peak of the story now. There's some intrigue. There's some, I don't know what's going to happen, how this is going to end, who she's going to trust, those kind of things. There's a bit of peril in there. So I'm looking forward to finishing it and finding out what happens. But it's been a really enjoyable read. It has been quite long. I don't know how many pages it is, but 20-hour audiobook's probably like 600-700 pages. If it was 700, that would be amazing, because then I could use it for my 700s page by the hundreds challenge. Yeah, so I feel that it could have done with a bit of editing in places, but it's an enjoyable book that I've nearly finished. So only one haul. The haul is an audiobook, which is my October new release, which I'm super excited about. So Lily King has a new book out called Heart the Lover. And I am so excited because Lily King is one of my favourite authors. I've bought, I think, everything she's written. Maybe there's one book that I haven't read, but I haven't read, sorry, that's not true. I've bought as much as I can. I haven't read all of them yet, but all of the books I've read, I love. Writers and Lovers has been a book I've read twice and given 5 stars both times. I read Father of the Rain by her this year, in one of the first books I read this year, and that was 5 stars. And I've got other books of hers just up here somewhere, because I just want to read everything she's ever written. So this was as soon as I saw she had a book out in October, I was like 100% this is going to be my October new release. So what is it about? We have a protagonist who I can't see that they have a name, that she has a name, but she's gone to a college or university. She has friends called Sam and Yash, and that have met at college. They are very into like academia, some gambling, some banter. They're very passionate. She develops her first love. I don't know, for one or other or both, I'm not sure. And then, so I got kind of dark academia vibes from that bit in the blurb. But then we cut to years later when she's married with children and she's a successful writer. And then one of these people, I'm not sure who, if it's Yash or Sam, comes back into her life and sort of dredges up all of the past. So yeah, I'm really, really excited too. I see some sort of parallels with Writers and Lovers, which I loved. So yeah, I'm really, really excited to read that. That should be super fun. So next, what's coming up next? Well, I still have 3 library books out. I've got the book on burnout. I've got Ugly Dogs Don't Cry, which is the modern day adaptation of Mice and Men that I got out for HRCYED. And I've got the book about the guy who goes to work as the non-fiction. He goes to work in one of the New York galleries as a security and reflects on life. I can see someone's put a reserve on that, so I don't know if I'll be able to renew it. If I can't, that's fine. I can get it out another time, not a problem. So that's the library books I've still got left to read. Then I've still got the TBR spin books that I'm behind on, which is The Invention of Wings by Steampunk Kid and My Brilliant Friend by Elena Ferrante. So they're the next books that I'll read. After that, I feel like I've got more freedom to go back to picking and choosing as I wish. So what I'd like to do is, coming up, I would like to do another spin the wheel for HRCYED prompt where, so last time I spun the wheel and I got the lowest rated books on my TBR, so then I spun the wheel again, I think, to pick which one. So that would be one thing I'd quite like to do, would be to spin the wheel for that again. I also made a video a little while ago about books that I can't wait to read off my TBR, so I'd quite like to try a wheel spin to pick one of those as well, because I feel like because I've borrowed books from the library and stuff, I feel like I've done quite a lot of prescriptive reading, and so I'd quite like to do a little bit more mood reading, freedom pick stuff. So yeah, that's my thoughts for coming up. I'm also going to be doing some new videos, like I said, not just Friday Reads videos, but tell me about what you've been reading and if you've read any of the books that I've mentioned today and what your thoughts are. If you don't want to comment but you just want to know, do you want me to know that you're here, then please feel free to leave me a little emoji. That would be lovely. And I hope that you're having a really good week reading lots of great books, and I'll speak to you all soon. Bye.